What's the future step here?
Well, you were supposed to, by your own resolution, supposed to have a budget adopted by September 18th. The only suggestion I have is that you do a resolution right now off agenda, at least extending it to October 2nd. And I'll look to the CEO if he wants to offer any comments about how, any suggestions on further process, but that would be the technical way of extending this out.
Any comments, Mr. CEO?
Well, the October 2nd date is required by state law. Of course, we're not scheduled to meet on that, so our next opportunity to meet would be the 23rd. And of course, it does take a period of time depending upon what your board would like to change in the budget. It does take time for the auditor, controller, and the CEO staff to develop new schedules. We do have an ongoing commitment to the board that we are going to repackage TEETR for you and come back with a more thorough explanation of the TEETR plan and how the interest comes before you. We are continuing to talk with departments about opportunities to reduce their expenses. As Supervisor Pinchins mentioned specifically, we're going to be looking at travel, conferences, memberships, those issues, dealing with the issue of bottled water. So there are a number of ongoing initiatives that we intend to pursue during the course of the year. I think the sheriff has already scheduled the overtime committee meetings. Various parties are stepping up to the plate to manage the budget, but we need a budget to manage, and that takes action by your board.
Keep also in mind that the public hearings are closed, so if there are any changes to the budget that's been presented to you, those will have to be done by a 4/5 vote.
That's correct.
Supervisor Pinchas.
Well, I'd like to challenge the three members that voted against adopting this budget today to come up, with specifics. We just can't turn this back to the CEO's office. And first of all, we don't know a number you want to. We talk about the TEETR plan. Does that mean we want the TEETR plan debt wiped out this year? So is the CEO looking for $10, $11 million? Or what's the parameters of what? I'm confused. I'm hearing a lot of things from the three members that vote against this budget. I don't know exactly, is the parameters from 200,000 to 11 million? Is that what we're looking at? Or are we can we agree that we're leaving the TEETR situation the way it is, which is basically it's not going to ride up, it's staying the same? Are we talking about other issues? So, we can't direct staff to pull a rabbit out of the hat here if they don't even have the hat. So it's up to us, this board, right now, and I mean now, before lunch, to give some direction if you don't want to adopt this budget. Yes, it's not perfect, and there's things that we want to work on, but where do you want to start? If you want to hold this budget up from being adopted, then it's up to you to come up with a strategy that the members for the budget can look about, and look at. As county council, the public hearing is over on this. It's going to take a 4/5 vote to do any of these strategies here. So we put ourselves into a real box here, and I mean all five of us. So let's try to jump out of this box here real quick. Otherwise, we're going to have some real problems. We're going to be doing the same tactics as the state of California, and we're all criticizing them. Let's don't operate that way. Let's have a little give and take here and come up with something.
Supervisor Delbert.
Thank you. Supervisor Pinchas, you asked that same question 2 or 3 times last week, and I gave you the same answer 2 or 3 times. 3 members of this board decided to move forward with the budget. That was yourself, the chairman, and Supervisor Colfax. Supervisor Smith and I had similar, not identical, but similar issues. We did not succeed in swaying a 3rd vote. This board went through numerous votes. I even made a motion that failed for lack of a second. My point's been very clear the entire time. But 3 members of this board tentatively adopt the budget, which gave the go-ahead to staff to put the bow on the package, bring it back today to adopt the resolution. So your question needs to be addressed to what happened to that 3rd vote. Because my position hasn't changed. And I've answered it many, many times last
Well, I'm
week.
open up to anybody. Somebody come
I know,
up with
but
a
you asked
solution.
for all three of us, and
Yeah.
and I will not sit here and not give you that answer one more time.
Okay. Supervisor Smith.
Well, to the question of Supervisor Pinches, I think it's obviously a valid one. It's where we need to go. But, like Supervisor Delbar, I had revenue side ideas that I felt should be entertained and that the executive office should have brought us if they're talking about shifting land closure costs, which the board ended up not doing that. But if we were going to do that, there's franchise fees out there that I think we can be collecting or not. I gave 3 or 4 other cost containment things to be looked at, to be analyzed, not a complete entire, program or way to go forward, because that's not really my job. But I gave you 3 specific areas in terms of cost containment that we ought to look at. So, I feel like I went over that and over that during the budget hearings, and when none of those things, specifically the teeter plan at only paying $200,000 on an $11+ million debt, just I wasn't gonna get there. I wouldn't do it with my own home budgeting strategy, and I'm not gonna do it sitting here. That was one of the main reasons I voted no. And I said very clearly I would compromise to the degree of several $100,000, but I was looking for something approaching